The South China Sea is one of the most important waterways in the world. It is rich in natural resources including oil and gas reserves. It is also a vital shipping route for global trade. China claims almost the entire South China Sea as its own. This has led to tensions with neighboring countries including Vietnam, the Philippines, Malaysia, Brunei, and Taiwan. These countries also claim parts of the South China Sea. They argue that China's claims are excessive and violate international law. The United States has a strong interest in ensuring freedom of navigation in the South China Sea. It conducts regular naval patrols in the region. This has further heightened tensions with China. The South China Sea dispute is one of the most complex and potentially dangerous geopolitical challenges facing the world today. It is a clash of history, national pride, and economic interests. Understanding the historical context of China's claims is crucial to understanding the current situation. China's claims to the South China Sea are based on what it calls the Nine-Dash Line, a demarcation that has sparked significant controversy and debate. This line is a series of dashes that appear on Chinese maps, representing China's assertion over vast maritime areas. It encircles most of the South China Sea, an area rich in resources and strategic importance. The Nine-Dash Line has no basis in international law as established by the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. It is not recognized by any other country, leading to numerous diplomatic disputes and tensions. China argues that the Nine-Dash Line represents its historic rights to the South China Sea, citing ancient fishing activities. It claims that Chinese fishermen have been fishing in the area for centuries, long before modern international laws were established. However, there is no historical evidence to support China's claims to sovereignty over the entire South China Sea, according to many historians and legal experts. The Nine-Dash Line is a relatively recent invention, not rooted in ancient history as China suggests. It first appeared on Chinese maps in the 1940s, during a period of significant political change in China. It was drawn up by the Republic of China, which governed mainland China before the Communist Party came to power in 1949, marking a pivotal moment in Chinese history. The Nine-Dash Line is a symbol of China's growing assertiveness in the region, reflecting its broader geopolitical ambitions. It is a clear challenge to the international rules-based order, raising concerns among global powers. The Nine-Dash Line has been widely criticized by the international community, with many calling for a peaceful resolution to the disputes it has caused. China's claims to the South China Sea are rooted in history. For centuries, Chinese fishermen have sailed these waters. They have fished and traded in the region. China argues that this historical presence gives it a special claim to the South China Sea. However, other countries in the region also have long-standing historical ties to the South China Sea. Vietnam, for example, has a long coastline along the South China Sea. It has historically controlled several island groups in the area. The Philippines also claims parts of the South China Sea. It bases its claims on its proximity to the Spratly Islands. These islands are located in the heart of the South China Sea. They are rich in oil and gas reserves. The historical claims to the South China Sea are complex and often overlapping. There is no clear consensus on which country has the strongest claim. This has made it difficult to resolve the disputes peacefully. The Nine-Dash Line has its origins in the 11-Dash Line. The ROC government first drew the 11-Dash Line in 1947. This line encompassed almost the entire South China Sea. It included the Paracel Islands and the Spratly Islands. After the Communist Party came to power in China in 1949, it inherited the 11-Dash Line. However, in 1953, China removed 2 dashes from the line. This was done as a gesture of goodwill to Vietnam. The Nine-Dash Line has remained unchanged ever since. It is a source of constant tension in the region. China has used the Nine-Dash Line to justify its aggressive actions in the South China Sea. These actions include building artificial islands, deploying military assets, and harassing fishing vessels from other countries. The Nine-Dash Line is a major obstacle to peace and stability in the South China Sea. Section 5. UNCLOS and the Scramble for the Seas. The United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, often referred to as UNCLOS, is an international treaty that governs maritime claims. It establishes guidelines for how nations can use the world's oceans, including the management of marine natural resources. It was adopted in 1982 after years of negotiations and discussions among member states. China is a signatory to UNCLOS, which means it has agreed to abide by the treaty's rules and regulations. However, it interprets the treaty in a way that favors its own interests, often leading to disputes with other nations. UNCLOS allows countries to claim a 12 nautical mile territorial sea around their coastlines, giving them sovereignty over these waters. It also allows them to claim a 200 nautical mile exclusive economic zone, or EEZ, where they have special rights regarding the exploration and use of marine resources. Within its EEZ, a country has the right to exploit natural resources such as oil, gas, and fish, which can be crucial for its economy. China argues that its 9-line claim predates UNCLOS, asserting historical rights over vast areas of the South China Sea. Therefore, it claims it is not bound by the treaty's provisions, leading to significant tension in the region. However, this argument is not supported by international law, and many countries dispute China's claims. UNCLOS is the primary legal framework governing maritime claims, aiming to ensure fair and equitable use of the seas. China's actions in the South China Sea, including its military presence, are inconsistent with UNCLOS and have been widely criticized. It has built artificial islands on reefs and shoals that are submerged at high tide, altering the natural landscape. It has then claimed territorial seas and EEZs around these artificial islands, further complicating the maritime disputes in the region. Section 6. The 2016 ruling, a legal blow to China's claims. In 2016, the Permanent Court of Arbitration in The Hague issued a landmark ruling on the South China Sea dispute. The case was brought by the Philippines against China. The court ruled in favor of the Philippines. The court found that China's 9-line claim had no legal basis. It also found that China had violated the Philippines' sovereign rights in its exclusive economic zone. The court's ruling was a major setback for China. However, China rejected the ruling. It refused to participate in the arbitration proceedings. China argued that the court had no jurisdiction over the case. China's rejection of the ruling has further heightened tensions in the South China Sea. The ruling has no enforcement mechanism. However, it is a powerful legal precedent. It undermines China's claims in the South China Sea. It also strengthens the legal position of other countries with claims in the region. Section 7. National Identity. The Sea in China's Soul. The South China Sea is not just about economics or geopolitics for China. It is also about national identity. China sees itself as a rising power. It believes that it deserves a greater role in world affairs. The South China Sea is seen as part of China's historical sphere of influence. China's leaders have used the South China Sea issue to stoke nationalist sentiment at home. They have portrayed China as a victim of foreign aggression. The Chinese government has invested heavily in its navy in recent years. It has built a fleet of warships, submarines, and aircraft carriers. This military buildup is part of China's effort to project power in the South China Sea. China's actions in the South China Sea are driven by a combination of factors. These include economic interests, strategic considerations, and national pride. The South China Sea issue is likely to remain a source of tension for many years to come. Section 8. Geopolitical Hotspot, a Powder Keg in Paradise. The South China Sea is one of the most heavily militarized regions in the world. China has deployed warships, fighter jets, and missiles to islands it controls in the South China Sea. The United States has also increased its military presence in the region. The U.S. Navy conducts regular freedom of navigation operations in the South China Sea. These operations are designed to challenge China's excessive maritime claims. The U.S. has also deployed aircraft carriers and other warships to the region. Other countries with interests in the South China Sea, such as Japan, Australia, and France, have also increased their military activities in the region. The South China Sea is a potential flashpoint for conflict. A miscalculation or accident could quickly escalate into a wider confrontation. The risk of conflict is heightened by the lack of trust between China and the United States. Both countries view each other as rivals. Section 9. The future of the South China Sea, towards cooperation or conflict. The future of the South China Sea is uncertain. This region, rich in resources and strategic importance, has become a focal point of international attention. China is determined to assert its claims in the region. Its actions have included building artificial islands and increasing its military presence. The United States is equally determined to uphold freedom of navigation and the rules-based international order. It conducts regular patrols to challenge what it sees as excessive maritime claims. There is a risk that the South China Sea could become a battleground between China and the United States. The presence of military forces from various countries adds to the tension. However, there is also hope for a peaceful resolution to the disputes. Diplomatic efforts are ongoing, and many nations are advocating for dialogue. Dialogue and diplomacy are essential to reducing tensions in the South China Sea. Through open communication, misunderstandings can be avoided. China and the countries of Southeast Asia have been engaged in talks to develop a code of conduct for the South China Sea. This initiative aims to establish guidelines for behavior in the region. A code of conduct could help to prevent misunderstandings and reduce the risk of conflict. It represents a significant step towards stability. The international community has a role to play in promoting peace and stability in the South China Sea. Global cooperation is crucial. Countries can support dialogue, diplomacy, and the rule of law. By working together, they can help to ensure a peaceful future for the region. The South China Sea is a shared resource. Its waters are home to diverse marine life and are vital for the livelihoods of millions. It should be a zone of peace and cooperation, not conflict. Through collective efforts, the South China Sea can become a model of international collaboration.
So hit that subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications, and let's turn the page on a new adventure together. Get ready to experience books like never before, only on VBook 360. Like, comment, and share to support the channel and keep the video magic alive. Thank you for stopping by. And remember, every video has a story, and every story deserves to be shared. See you in the next video.